Okay, we'll turn it over to President Weber.
Well, good evening. I want to start with a big thank you to the Board of Trustees for your support through the year. Although the state budget crisis has affected us in many ways on all the colleges and universities throughout Illinois, unfortunately we're still in the shadow of that. CLC has much to be grateful for, and we actually achieved quite a bit this year. In fact, it was an award-winning year for the college. Now, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to list all of those things because there are pages of them. But of course, winning a couple national awards for diversity and sustainability were right up there among those many things. But I will send that out to the board. Derek compiled a list of many of those things, those accomplishments. But I think it'd be great as kind of an end of the year just to take a look at a list of all those things so you can see those. So I'll send those out. Last week I had the opportunity, I want to talk about the University Center of Lake County. Had an opportunity to talk to the governing board. Dr. Kerrigan and Trustee Rich Anderson are also our members on that board. And we talked to them a little bit about that standing issue of the ownership of the building. And I want to thank both of the trustees. I know Trustee Anderson, particularly with his historical background on that, weighed in the discussion. And we talked about, or I talked about a little bit about how we might even need a bill to clarify this. That wasn't an idea they liked as much, but this, at the end of the discussion, I think, and I'll ask the trustees to comment, but I think at the end of the discussion, it generated a direction of coming back to that agreement again that had been set aside, that we had started working on, really. And so I've talked to Dr. Grace and the executive director there, the dean there. And so we're going to begin again to try to see if we can now get their board to take a look at that agreement again in some seriousness and come back to it. I believe that one, Tom Morris worked on that for us, so we'll have probably Robin Schwartz work on a newer agreement. Okay? That's just an update for you all.
Rich, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Rich, did you want?
Well, it's complicated. From their side, I could see if I was on their side, I'd drag my feet, and they're dragging their feet. On our side, it is important because, although Northern has said that they have no interest in the College of Lake County facility, the Northern participation with University Center could go away at any moment, and someone else step into their shoes, and then we would be with a college that may or may not be interested in the building. The irony of it all is that when the building gets built, we deed the parcel of land that the building sits on to the Capital Development Board. Capital Development Board builds the building and then gives us back the deed for the land. But the deed doesn't have anything on it about the building, which is on the land. So that deed is sitting in Springfield, and the complication is, the building actually should be ours. It's on our property and it's our building, and that was the way it was all intended, but somehow the actual saying of that never got into the Board of Higher Ed minutes. And now the question is the Board of Higher Ed responsible for it? Is the University Center Board responsible for it? Or do we need legislation to see who's responsible for it? So that's where we're at.
Where do you think it's going to go?
I think the Board of Higher Ed is going to eventually say it's our building, because they don't want this to go to the legislature, and they don't want a big issue flying up in their faces. This used to be a big issue for the Board of Higher Ed. It's now a very small issue for the Board of Higher Ed, and they're at the point where I think they might even be interested in giving more University Center control away.
Yeah, and they certainly haven't been funding them the way
Right.
they need to keep going. So with their
Well, if I may add, we had a discussion about funding, and they did get basically half of their budget in a spending plan that ends December 31st. And if things go in Springfield, as some have suggested, and all they do is put forth another spending plan like the first spending plan, and if it is like the first spending plan, then they get the other half of their funding, if that happens. So,
Rich, is there any more discussion about the bachelor degree in nursing?
oh yes.
What's going on with that?
Mahern, is that his name? The senator from downstate. He,
Yeah, it's-
Mahern, he had a hearing about 3-4 weeks ago, and it went just as expected. The privates and the universities were all against community colleges granting the bachelor degree, science degree in nursing, and the hospitals and the providers and the community colleges were in favor of it. A few community colleges did surprise us and voice opposition, though, to the Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. So, but it's gung-ho at this point, and the stats are with us.
So are the ones that opposed it ones that have agreements with hospitals already?
No, with other higher ends, like Southern Illinois University and Northern Illinois University.
Yeah, so they don't need it, so it's a self-serving position.
Right, but the problem is the statistics for the last, that's always been a tough word for me.
It was a tough class.
Yeah, it was.
I remember.
But the stats show that there were, in the last year we have them, it's for 2013, that there's something like, 15,000 qualified transfer students for bachelor degrees, junior and senior level teaching, that are qualified and can't get into state schools because there's no room for them.
So there are not enough seats.
Not enough seats.
So that's gonna be the compelling argument.
Yes.
There's also vacancies, so Tom Ramage spoke to the Board of Higher Ed last week and mentioned in his area there were 100 BSN vacancies where the hospitals were wanting those. And we here, we've been working too to get signatures from the hospitals, so Rich and I met with Maureen Robinson, and I gotta give credit to our nursing faculty. They're taking part of the load of that, so we're up to about 3 hospitals now, which is great. So,
And I inadvertently had a nice conversation with the CEO of Lake Forest Hospital, and he was all for it and
Yeah.
all willing to step in and help us, so that was kind of very inadvertent.
yeah, no, I think we'll get signatures from all of them.
Okay.
So, moving the last main item I had here is just to remind you all that the Salute to Gospel comes up fairly fast this year, February 11th. So we'll be sending that out to you, the 33rd annual Salute to Gospel, and we'll be sending information out to you.